Good morning and welcome to Unity on the Eastern Shore. We are so happy to have you with us here today. Whether you're a visitor, and I don't think we have any, or not, we are delighted that you're here. And let's state together our purpose statement so that we remember why we're here. Together, our purpose is to foster a new level of spiritual awareness through worship and fellowship, and to lift one another to a Christ-like maturity. Our affirmation for this week is, I have faith the highest and best outcomes are unfolding in my life. And the song, Peace Signs and Laugh Lines.
Did you know that some things can change without a whole lot of pain? Just take your love and pour it in and watch it grow. Did you know that good will prevail? The signs are everywhere. It's all over the faces in strange little places and dancing in the air. And peace signs and laugh lines are what makes the world go round and round and round. And children's smiles and loving eyes are what makes the walls come tumbling down here. Well, I don't have to convince you, I don't have to change your mind. Just step outside and feel the breezes blowing back for the time. Well, there's a love train coming, yeah, we're on the very next stop. Just get on board and open your heart, there ain't no going back. 'Cause peace signs and laugh lines are what makes the world go round and round and round. And children's smiles and loving eyes are what makes the walls come tumbling, tumbling down, tumbling down. Everything old, everything old, new where the doors to heaven are open, wherever your heaven might be. Oh, maybe they've always been right here and now, just between you and me. This place, it's where magic can happen, beyond what we ever believed. It's like rolling hills of giant sunflowers as far as the eye can see. As far as the eye can see. And peace signs and laugh lines are what makes the world go round and round and round. And children's smiles and loving eyes
Today's daily word for the new year. I joyfully create the year anew. I greet this day feeling grateful as I begin another year. It is stretched out before me like a blank canvas, inviting my unique designs and bright colors. I use my zeal and imagination to dream big dreams and make bold plans. I release the past, taking from it precious memories and invaluable experience. Even the experiences that were not especially happy have helped bring me to where I am today. I feel confident and self-assured, knowing that I go forth into the new year with God expressing as my creativity, my audacity, my kindness, and my compassion. My receptive, eager attitude for the coming year opens my heart to all the joy I'm about to create. I smile and I let the wonder in. From John chapter 4, verse 35. But I tell you, look around you and see how the fields are ripe for harvesting. I'm very happy to once again welcome Sharon Sinclair to our podium. Excuse me. As I think about Sharon, and I remember when she was physically here with us, it seems like only yesterday, but I know when I look at a calendar, it's been more than just a day or two. It's been a year or two. And as good a friend as she became to our church congregation when she was here, it seems that we're even closer now, though all these miles have separated us. Through the miracle of Zoom, we continue to get closer, and her friendship means a lot to me and to this congregation. So I welcome today Sharon Sinclair. Change is gonna come.
Thank you, Andrea. Your introductions are always very heartfelt, and I appreciate that. And I'm so happy to be your first speaker for 2022. And exactly because it is a time of year when so many people seem motivated to think about change, I did select as my topic the name of a song by Sam Cooke that became a civil rights anthem, A Change Gonna Come. And before I actually lead us with a prayer, I'd like to share with you something that I found on Facebook that I thought was really good. You might have heard it before, but I think it bears repeating. And it was posted by Heidi Nelson, who says, Flight 2022 instructions. Good morning, and welcome to Flight 2022. We are prepared to take off into the new year. Please make sure your positive attitude and gratitude are secured and locked in the upright position. All self-destruct devices, pity, anger, selfishness, pride, and resentment should be turned off at this time. All negativity, hurt, and discouragement should be put away. Should you lose your positive attitude under pressure during this flight, reach up and pull down a prayer. Prayers will be automatically activated by faith. Once your faith is activated, you can assist other passengers who are of little faith. There will be no baggage allowed on this flight. God, our captain, has cleared us for takeoff. Destination, greatness. So let's start by pulling down a prayer, and it will be activated by our faith. So I invite you just to sit back comfortably, close your eyes, let the stress of all these busy activities of the holiday season and all of the accumulated stress of the last year, let it just melt away as we open our minds and our hearts to the divine presence among us. And I can only hope that something of my words will echo the own sentiments of your heart. Dear God, our captain, thank you for this new day and for this gift of a new year conceived in the womb of time. We praise your holy name for your countless mercies. As we embark on our journey through 2022, we bring to you hearts that are filled with many emotions. We bring you hearts overflowing with gratitude for our daily blessings. Yet also in our hearts, God, are concerns for our safety and well-being. So we bring to you our fears that you may lift them away and free us from all worry. We bring our grief from losses that sometimes threaten to pull us into a chasm of despair and depression. We bring our confidence that you hear our prayers and that you will provide all the comfort and strength we need to bring us through any hardship. And above all, God, we bring you our faith, our belief, and our trust. We know by faith that you are in control of our eternal mission, and we believe that we each have a role to play in creating a better future. In our faith, we trust you. We trust you to guide us in making whatever changes are necessary to put us ultimately on the path you have intended for our highest good and for the highest good of all. Amen. There is a quote that is sometimes misattributed to Teddy Roosevelt, but it was actually written by William Shakespeare for his play Twelfth Night. And it goes, "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them." And I was thinking that the concept of change is a little bit like that, because some of us are born during periods of great change and upheaval. Some of us achieve change through our actions, and some of us have change thrust upon us. And when I think of the first part of that quote, I think really of my parents, because both my mother and father were born in 1914 at the beginning of the First World War. And I think how much anxiety and stress must have been felt by young children in their formative years during that time. Because even though certainly the media coverage would have been drastically different, there was no community spared the stress, the anxiety, the awareness of the horrors of all of those battles. And I think today, really, when we have had the change thrust upon us of the pandemic, it must be so strange for little children coming into the world to see everybody around them being affected in such ways as wearing masks and isolated and prevented from developing the normal contact with their own friends. And I just think that you might argue that, well, anybody is born to great change because change is happening, moment by moment, second by second. But back in the time that my mother came into this world, there was a great deal of change happening. And I just want to start by telling you that my mom, like many young girls of that era, did not stay long in school. She left school after her elementary education and went out to work to help support her family. And she worked initially at a hotel in a little village, and she was the cook and the housekeeper and the chambermaid. And while she was there, she heard about a position in a little village called Ceylon, which was about 2 miles away. And this job was being offered by a woman named Agnes MacPhail. And Agnes MacPhail had brought that whole area to great prominence in Canada in 1921 when she was elected as the first female member of parliament for the country. And so my mom applied for the job and she got the job as Aggie's girl. And while she was there, she happened to meet my father because my father was growing up in that village and his father was the CPR, Canadian Pacific Railway agent at the little station in Ceylon. And so it was the time of telegrams and a lot of flurry would be going on. And so he would be delivering these up to the house in Ceylon. And also sometimes Agnes MacPhail hired him to be a chauffeur to various political functions like picnics. And on one of those occasions, my mother and my father met each other and they fell in love and subsequently married and had a family. So I really do owe quite a bit to this amazing person called Agnes MacPhail. And I was really pleased and honored a few years ago when I was given a commission to create a poem for a plaque that was being unveiled at that little house in Ceylon to commemorate the fact that Agnes had been designated as a woman of national historic significance, actually a person of national historic significance. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about that poem. It was originally written for that and has morphed over many occasions in the interim, but it was offered just recently because it was exactly 100 years ago in this past December that she made that amazing change in the way women were accepted into Parliament. And that happened just 2 miles down the road from where I now live in the town hall of a little village called Durham, Ontario. So the commission that I had at the time was actually arranged by a woman named Donna Mann. And Donna Mann's become a good friend of mine. She is an author, a musician, a minister, and she has done so much in this area to make sure that Agnes MacPhail's legacy continues to shine. She has written 3 books for young children and younger readers based on a concept of creative nonfiction, where she tries to help them understand that the qualities of her pioneer upbringing, certainly she had inherited some of those and honed some of those, and they were what really helped her to survive and to thrive during that time of change in the government. Apparently, she was a very good orator. So I call this When Agnes Spoke. When Agnes spoke, people listened, for her voice was commanding and true, and she used it to champion causes, to accomplish everything she could do, to improve conditions for farmers whose votes catapulted to fame, an inspiring soul from Grey County to a leading role on Canada's stage. When Agnes spoke, people listened, as her voice rose upward and smashed those barriers to gender equality in society's ceiling of glass. Shards of the past that women today must remember with grateful applause. For the woman from Grey, whose vision helped pave new inroads in Canada's laws. On the national stage, many battles were waged, and her voice was not always heard. But a change was discerned when colleagues soon learned that Agnes stayed true to her words. She wasn't afraid to have ripples made, and with tenacity wouldn't let go of situations she saw that contained many flaws, and she challenged the old status quo. And then I go on in the poem to talk about some of her accomplishments and some of the causes that she championed. We're benefiting today from those, such as equal pay for equal work, pensions for seniors, great champion for prison reform. And more value is placed on heritage now. The awareness that Agnes MacPhail must stay in the forefront forever, where all local heroes prevail. They give us hope and inspire us all to reach for the elusive star that guides our personal destiny and raises the excellence bar. Unfortunately, in every country, we have shining examples of people who have achieved change. And one such individual comes immediately to mind as Martin Luther King Jr., whose legacy is going to be celebrated later this month in the annual recognition of his legacy. I remember one time I wrote a poem with children to celebrate Black History Month. And I said that Martin Luther King wrote a speech so fine that he changed the world with his heart and his mind. And one of Martin Luther King's quotes was about the fact that change does not come inevitably upon us, but that it requires a great deal of struggle. And I think for this particular time, when change has been so thrust upon us, that that is definitely true. That everything that we see that has happened as a result of this pandemic has required struggle and courage and commitment. And I was asked recently or invited to be involved in a project that was talking about the pandemic. And the editors of this anthology wanted people to talk about how living through a global pandemic had affected you personally on an individual basis. So I'll share a few verses of that because one of the reasons I'm not there with you in person, but through the wonder of Zoom, is that, of course, the cross-border situation was very much impacted by the arrival of the pandemic. And in 2020, I returned to Canada just days before the border was closed. So it has affected me in this way. It's called A Pandemic Perspective, Prison or Prism. Her words fell like shards of glass, splintering my peaceful aura with a bleak prophecy. When you get back to Canada, take good care of your family. This is going to get really bad. A chill shivered along my spine, cool as the morning mist that moments earlier had blushed my cheeks in a farewell kiss from the Gulf of Mexico. In the weeks that followed, the uncanny accuracy of my American friend's prediction washed over our lives like emerald waves crashing on the Florida coastline I had reluctantly left behind. The Canada-US border closed like the sickening click of prison bars. Barriers of regulations separating my confined body from the freedom of my wandering soul. Spiritual renewal not on the list of essential travel. Gradually, privileges were stripped away in a revised version of solitary confinement. Lockdown, rations, restrictions defined a new normal, the old normal, fading like a disappearing rainbow into the threatening clouds of an ominous sky. One by one, countries plunged headlong into institutional gray. As an enemy too small to see with the human eye continued its relentless attack, questions surfaced in the shadows of my mind. And I go on to talk about some of those questions and give examples from what I had seen. For example, what color is fear? Is it the anguish of patients on ventilators? What color is grief? Does depression have a color trapped in the treacherous undercurrent of the first wave, second wave, third wave? What color is sadness? Is it contagious? Does it spread like germs from particles of loneliness? And I realized that one by one, my questions were answered by the resilience that I was seeing around me. And it occurred to me that maybe I should have been asking different questions and taking a different perspective. Like, what color is courage? What color is commitment, bravery? What color is flexibility for all the changes that were happening around us? What color is determination and sacrifice? And I think of the frontline workers who put themselves out there every day through exhaustion. And I think it's so important that we let our lives be a prism through which we see a spectrum of positive color, because I think it's that kind of faith in the future and that kind of willingness on the part of all of us that will allow us to say one day with great conviction, open the gates, we have served our sentence. And I think it's going to bring forth a great deal of change from each of us when we go into our post-pandemic period. And I think that too, that I came up with a concept called capacity to care. And I think how successful we will be in defining our new normal once the pandemic is under control will depend a lot on our capacity to care, not only for ourselves and our family and the community, but for the world, because we're on a global stage now and we're all in this together. And I discovered recently that our capacity to care is very volatile, and it depends on a lot of factors. Just like blood pressure measurements, it can fluctuate wildly depending on things like stress and how well you feel at any given time. I was really aware of that in my own life these past 2 weeks because I've had some kind of arthritic flare up. And I found myself being really grouchy, which isn't really like me. Most of the time, I try to be positive. But thank you, Doreen, for reassuring me that the grouchiness of a Grinch does change. It's only temporary. And but I think it illustrates that it's so very important that we take care of ourselves so that we can have the reserves of strength to help other people cope with change. And it's very true that you cannot serve from an empty vessel. So I'm hoping that you join me in 2022 to make it a year where we really resolve to take care of ourselves on every level, physically, emotionally, spiritually, so that we can help define this better future that we all want and we're very desperate to have. So I like to think that Desmond Tutu had a beautiful quote that we are not all destined to achieve great change on a global scale, but we can each do our little good. And all of these bits of little good put together will overwhelm the world. And I think that we have the potential to overwhelm it globally for the good, for the greatest good of all. And it takes each one of us. I wrote a poem one time called Borderline Faults when I was a volunteer at a Mexican migrant resource center at the border between Arizona and Napa, Sonora, Mexico. And it ends with the idea that let us try to expand our horizons, enlarge both our hearts and our minds before we face the border, before we face the boundary that closes the border called time. And I know that in Unity, we do not believe that time has any borders or boundaries. It always has been and always will eternal. But I think we can agree that for this particular incarnation, where our spirit is residing, there is a limit on our time. And it's drawn to our attention by the average life expectancies statistics to which we are exposed. So we know that we have a limited time to do our little bit of good on this earth. And I hope that we feel inspired this year to do that. I remember in Reverend Anne's, one of her last addresses to us, she said that we are the Christ and the time is now. Thank you. So I'm going to invite you to come to a meditation. It'll be a little shorter than normal to try to keep within the time guidelines, but I would like to share with you during that a Franciscan benediction that was sent to me in a Christmas card by my very good friend, Sandy Christie. And let us just close our eyes and see ourselves relaxing deeply, settle comfortably into the chair or wherever you are. And to keep an image in your mind of a place where you feel the most rested, the most restored, the most vibrantly alive. And just let yourself rest there for a few minutes, taking some deep breaths of relaxation. Breathe deeply, hold your breath for a few seconds if that helps you to deeply relax. And wherever you are, I suggest that we see ourselves reaching up towards the sky, the beautiful borderless sky, and bringing down beautiful white healing light. Let that light encompass your whole body. Feel it moving through your body, healing you in any area that needs attention. That light can fuel our capacity to care. When you feel fully enveloped by its warmth, let's see that light move out to encircle your friends, your family, the leaders who are struggling to cope with all the demands of this new situation, this unprecedented change. Let it bring them the wisdom and the capacity to make good decisions. And let that light circle everybody who is part of our global solution. See the light moving outward and see you joining hands with others all across the world to make a circle of love around this planet. And let that capacity to care light shine while I share this Franciscan benediction. May God bless you with discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deeply within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer pain, rejection, hunger, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God bless you with enough foolishness to believe you can make a difference in the world, so that you can do what others claim cannot be done, to bring justice and kindness to all our children and the poor. Let yourself just rest comfortably with those healing thoughts, with the conviction that our actions truly do matter, that we are teachers to one another, who are always learning by our example. Let this year be the year where our example shines brightly to encourage, uplift, and comfort others, and to make changes that are in the best interest of all, for the greatest good of all. Gently release your hands from that circle of care and bring yourself gradually back to the comfort of the location where you are now located. Take some deep breaths. God's blessings on all of us. And when you are ready, please open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Once again, um, a wonderful new way to begin a new year.
Yeah,
It seems to build on what Shirley taught us at the burning bowl ceremony, as well as what we learned Friday night at the New Year's Eve celebration. So now we're going to enjoy another song, I Will Surrender.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am kinder every moment, every day. I'm more loving every moment, every day. I surrender every moment, every day.
This is the time we give our love offerings through the U.S. Postal Service. Unity on the Eastern Shore, P.O. Box 776, Fairhope, Alabama 36533. And if you have your love offering with you, hold it in your hand, please. And we say together, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And now
You're ready to start opening hearts, making life better. Let's paint the town with a rainbow of joy to bring us together. Celebrate life, talk about love, radiate hope, lift up the world. We can share the joy of knowing we are filled to overflowing. Celebrate life, sing a love song to your loved ones, let them sing along. Isn't it time we find we are all like a shining light when we celebrate life? If you're ready to play out in the day, whatever the weather, let the rain fall, there's joy in it all when we do it together. Celebrate life, talk about love, radiate hope, lift up the world. We can share the joy of knowing we are filled to overflowing. Celebrate life, sing a love song to your loved ones, let them sing along. Isn't it time we find we are all like a shining light when we celebrate life? When you're feeling sad and low, call your friends and let them know. You'll be surprised right before your eyes. They're so open-hearted, they'll get the party started. Celebrate life, talk about love, radiate hope, lift up the world. We can share the joy of knowing we are filled to overflowing. Celebrate life, sing a love song to your loved ones, let them sing along. Isn't it time we find we are all like a shining light when we celebrate life? Yeah, celebrate life. Oh, feel so open-hearted, get the party started. Yeah, come celebrate life.
And now let's repeat together the prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, for we are one. And now we'll end with the peace song.